everyone! So I wanted to talk about some of my favorite things for a while, some of my favorite beauty products. I used to do favorite videos and then I stopped doing them, and I kind of want to do them again because it's really just a lot of fun to talk about products that I really enjoy using. A lot of these things probably won't be much of a surprise if you've watched my videos before and if you follow me on Instagram and see the products that I'm listing there, because it's a lot of this stuff. But I really just wanted to share some of these things because I do get questions a lot about what sort of things I've been using and what products I've been loving. So anyway, I have one sort of skincare product and I'll start with that first. This is from Good Molecules and it's the Discoloration Correcting Serum. So I have a love-hate relationship with serums. A lot of the times I find that they're really sticky. I don't like the way that they feel on my hands. I don't like the way that they feel on my face. They just sort of end up sitting on my skin, and I struggle with finding skincare consistency that works well for my skin and also that is okay for me to touch. It's such a weird thing, but I just have some tactile things, and there's certain textures that I just don't like. So this serum I started using almost a month ago now, and I have used quite a bit of it. It has been the serum I've been using in the morning and at night, and I love it. It's not sticky, it absorbed into my skin, it leaves my skin feeling really good, and I do think it's starting to make a little bit of difference in terms of discoloration in my skin. I struggle a lot with achieving sort of an even skin tone without foundation, and I feel like this has been helping. Obviously, I feel like it's still too soon to tell, even though I've been using it for like 3 to 4 weeks. I want to keep using it, but I thought that I would mention it because it's one of those products that I really enjoy using, so much so that I'm like looking forward to taking my makeup off at the end of the day because I get to put this on my face. So that's when I know a skincare product is really good, is when I'm actually looking forward to taking stuff off to put that on. Another Good Molecules product I've been loving is a primer. So this is the silicone-free priming moisturizer. This has been my daily face primer, and I just use a tiny little bit because I like to give my skin that little bit of a barrier before I put foundation and other stuff on top of it. So this has shea butter, macadamia seed oil, and a plant-derived silicone alternative to deeply hydrate, smooth, and nourish the skin. And I find that it does all that. So it's been a really good face primer for me to use. I've been really enjoying a lot of Good Molecules stuff. And a second primer. I really love primers. This is the VDL Lumi-layer Primer Fresh. This often makes an appearance in my get ready videos. Anything where I'm actually applying my base makeup, this tends to be the face primer I use because it's incredibly luminous and glowy. So like the Good Molecules one is an everyday face primer. I don't feel like it adds like that luminous thing to my skin. It really just is that kind of protective layer, and it's a good everyday thing when I'm not trying to have a completely glowy base like this one, which I think is actually better than the Becca one that I used to really love, which was the backlight filter, first light filter, which was the purple one. It's been so long since I've used it. I think it was the first light one, and I believe they've discontinued it since, but it was the purple one that was really luminous and glowy, and it was just my favorite luminous face primer. This one I think is actually better than that one, and I wasn't sure at first, but now I'm like halfway through this bottle, and I love it so much. I feel like it really gives my skin that luminous glow, and it hydrates my skin because I've been having a lot of issues with dry skin, as I've mentioned a few times, and trying to achieve a sort of glowy base has been a little bit difficult. I have to use a lot of hydrating products, and that has been a lifesaver for sure. So I actually have a lot of blush to talk about, interestingly enough. But first, I'm going to shout out some eyelashes. So yes, I'm wearing some very large, dramatic eyelashes. They are from a brand called 909 Beauty. They're an indie brand. They are phenomenal. I have a couple pairs of their lashes. So I will put the name of it here because I can't pronounce it. I have to look up how to pronounce it and I don't want to butcher it. So they have like fantastic packaging, which is reusable packaging as well, and I've used these lashes a few times. I have a couple of pairs, the Tremenda lashes. I've worn those in videos. I think I wore those in my Urban Decay brand history video as well, which was a lot of fun. And this pair, Santeria, I think. which is really like kind of dramatic, sort of like editorial style lashes, which are a lot of fun, and I've gotten some fun use out of those. But I love these ones especially because I've had such a hard time finding large lashes that could actually fit on my eye, because like I don't have very large eyes, and whenever I would try and trim lashes that were kind of particularly special, they just never ended up looking right, because if you cut too much off of the end, you lose sort of the special factor, especially if they happen to be winged lashes. If you cut too much off of the inside, then they look really, you know, they just don't fit the eye very well like they're supposed to. And I love these ones. I only had to trim a tiny bit in order to get them to fit fairly well, in my opinion. I struggle a little bit with like the inner corner these days because my eyelids have been really watery, and that's no fault of the lashes or really my lash glue, although I could 100% use some lash glue recommendations. I've been using lash glue from Velour. I used to really love House of Lashes, but it's really hard for me to get here. So if anybody has recommendations for lash glue that's sort of on the same like House of Lashes kind of level, please let me know, especially if it's sold somewhere like Sephora or just somewhere Canadian friendly. I would really, really appreciate that. So I just had to give a little special shout out to those lashes because they really bring like my looks to the next level, when I'm just sort of like, yeah, I really like what I did like eyeshadow wise, but I'm just not sure, like there's something missing. Big lashes never fails. So see, I'll talk about maybe blush and face products and some highlighters as well at the end. I have two eyeshadow palettes. The first one is the Escape Pod from Kaleidos, which is probably no surprise. I'm probably high-key obsessed with this at this point. This is what it looks like. I cannot get enough of this eyeshadow palette. It is what is on my eyes right now, along with a couple of Natasha Denona shadows, which I'll be talking about in a minute. But I've gotten so much inspiration from this palette. I think the quality is fantastic. I was so impressed, so blown away. This has become one of my favorite brands. I am really inspired by this palette, and like the only thing that kind of disappoints me is how similar a couple of the shades are, because the two green shadows, so I will swatch them and show you, because they do apply somewhat differently, but not differently enough in my opinion. You know, they really are very similar. I would like to have seen something maybe even just lighter, like one of the greens leaning a lot more to the yellow side, and then the two orange shades are also very similar, and I feel like there could have been maybe like a deeper shade that leaned more towards red. Like they're not identical shadows, but they are really close when you apply them on the eye, and that's the only downside in this palette, is that those two shades happen to be pretty similar, but the formula is great. Like the matte shadows, there's one swipe. And like the metallic shades, like I've applied them on camera. I did a palette bingo with this. I think I did a get ready with me as well. I've used this a few times on camera basically. And like I show my whole application process. I don't foil these. I don't need Fix Plus. They're true to this, the metallic shades, and the mattes are beautiful. No fallout or very little fallout. A lot of the times with more pigmented shadows, especially things that are kind of a more unique color, you're gonna get a little bit of fallout. Like I got a little bit down a little further than what I wanted to from like the purple shades that I use, but I mean that's normal. But it's not to the level of some other pigmented shadows that I've used that just end up being like really messy, to the point where I would personally avoid using them before I put foundation on. And I did my base makeup first. That's kind of been the way that I've been enjoying doing my makeup. It's a choice, but it's a choice that I like, and something that I got used to because it was a lot easier for me when I was getting ready for work, because I could do my base makeup in a couple minutes, and then whatever time was left I could focus on eyeshadow. And if I didn't have a lot of time, it wasn't a lot of time, as opposed to if I did my eyeshadow first, I could get carried away and spend way too much time. Anyway, love that eyeshadow palette so much is basically what I was getting at. Now the next palette, I will show a picture and I'll explain why I'm showing a picture. This is the Natasha Denona Biba palette. So this is what the palette looks like. I'll just kind of hover it across the screen here. It's a beautiful neutral palette, and says right on it, neutral. This has been one of my favorite things, and then I decided to rearrange my Natasha shadows again. I attempted to film this and I could not get it to turn out very well. I like looking at those beautiful videos of people sorting their eyeshadows and stuff. I just couldn't do it. I'll have to try it again. But I ended up creating sort of my go-to palette. So I'll show you upside down because mirror. But this is what my palette looks like. So this was intended to be just sort of like a go-to fall palette. When I went away for a couple of days, I brought this with me because these are a lot of easy shadows. It's the duochrome shades from various Natasha palettes, and it's a lot of shades that I really enjoy using and can create very simple eye looks with. So on my eyelid right now, I do have Dragon Bite, which is this shadow here, as well as a Lime Chrome from the Gold palette. Lime Chrome from the Gold palette is one of my favorite shadows ever to exist. And I've been coming around to Dragon Bite, which was in the Lila palette, and I wasn't using it, which is also on my lid right now. So it was like these two kind of layered together. You can see sort of like the big dips and even the pan on a lot of these shadows because they are a lot of my favorite shadows. And I just wanted to have this sort of together because it's inspiring to look at. It really reminds me of like autumn and those fall kind of colors, and it's a lot of easy shades. A lot of the times I'll do like a black base, especially like when I'm traveling. Oh my god, we didn't go far, an hour outside of my city, but you know, when you're on kind of vacation, and I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on my makeup personally. I want something that kind of will work for the whole day, so I kind of keep that in mind, that I know I'm going to be out adventuring, doing stuff, and I want to have something that will wear pretty well. And I find that Natasha shadows wear really well, and even if it's like a lot of activity, if it's a lot of wandering and wherever you're going, it looks good worn. So I do like a black base, which is a black eyeliner, and then layer the duochromes on top, and it looks really good. So I've had a lot of fun playing with my Natasha shadows and being re-inspired by these things. For highlighters, I have a couple that I want to talk about. Pixi highlighters. I feel like I'm always talking about them. So these are ones I've talked about a lot, and you can see the insane usage of this with one whole pan completely gone and one almost gone. This is Subtle Sunrise, one of my absolute favorite things. This travels with me like everywhere, and I will finish it up. And then I've been using this one as well, the Delicate Dew, which is a little bit darker, but I find that it works really well, especially this shade. As you can see, a big huge pan as well. It works really well when I do a lot of blush draping and I still want to highlight, because sometimes the blush draping, like the blush alone, I will leave it at that and I don't add any extra glow. Like I'm fine with whatever finish the blush happens to be, but sometimes I want something a little extra, and that's where this comes in handy, and it is magnificent. Please forgive this right now. I don't know what it is in my apartment. For some reason today it's been really cool and it's been fine, but today it's been really hot, and then with all the studio lights, I feel like I'm just like a dripping sweat. Like I'm not as glowy as I might have here, or at least the way I look in the viewfinder, and I'm like, geez, I look oily. This is because I'm actually kind of sweaty in here with the big studio lights on, and the apartment, my heat is on 0, but this apartment is warm. So I tried to fix my hair, my wig, and it didn't quite work for me, so just deal. Okay, and I just wanted to mention this one. Now this is a newer one to me. This is a palette from Pixi, which has some sort of like more glowy shades, like bronzer shades, some deeper highlight shades, but this shade in the middle is just like that empty pan from Subtle Sunrise. Like it's really, really close. So I've been using that a lot with like layering them. I like to layer the Pixi highlighters and kind of do that. I really just love the way that they glow. They're not glittery. Hold on, let me swatch, because like they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words, I guess, but I'm not doing close-up swatches. I just want to talk about makeup. So this is that glow right there. Okay, so I'm going to talk about all the blush that I've been loving recently. I'll start with this one. This is a custom blush palette from MAC. So I do have Emphasize. Does anybody remember when that was a thing? I totally bought that because of Jaclyn Hill. She'd use it to set her under eyes. And then I have a variety of different blush shades, which I have been loving using. And I find these are really good shades for me to do blush draping with every day. So it's not super dramatic, but it's just enough. Like I'll kind of skip contour and I'll just sort of contour with the blush and use a variety of these shades. Often I just like mix and match and layer, and most of these shades I think are discontinued. Some of them still exist, but I've been re-exploring MAC a little bit, and those old blushes, which still hold up really well. I've been also loving the Natasha Denona Bloom Blush and Glow palette. So I love this because there are powder, like blush and highlights, and then cream blush and highlight. So I've been using the glow shade, sort of the highlight shade, but I mean, I use it as a blush. I even just recently hit pan on it, that pink shade right here. I need to play with this one more. Like I have some ideas. I think if I could really layer this and do like a really cool blush draping thing with this deep shade here. I have a few things. I just need the time to do it, but I have really big dips in these, so I've been loving to use them there. It's such a great formula. Like the cream is really easy to blend, and I find that I can really layer it very well, but also keep it kind of sheer, like that shade that I hit the pan on, that glow pink shade. Also love this packaging because it has that little lift there, so it keeps the powder away from the cream. And then this shade here, I love. I don't really use it as a highlight. Like I know it's a blush and glow, but I tend to use all the shadows in there strictly as blushes. Another cream blush I've been loving is Fenty, and this is Drama Cla, and this is a beautiful vibrant purple. I've done a few looks using this. You do have to build it up a lot to get color that's true to pan, and I find that once I do build it up a lot, it is color true to pan. But that's what I love about it, is that you can have a really sheer purple. Like when you first initially swatch it, it's like, wow, that's a lot, that's really purple. And then when you're like applying it and you're blending it out, it just like, you can blend it till it's really soft, and it just looks almost like more pink than it actually looks purple. And I have such a great time using this. I have no complaints about this whatsoever. I would love to get my hands on more of these in the future because I think they're fantastic. I know there was people complaining about like the small size of it, but to me it's perfect. Like I love the packaging. I love that it has a little mirror in it because I do tend to use these little mirrors to apply my product, and I don't have any complaints. Like I think this is a great size, and I mean, I'm not going through this anytime soon. It may be a cream product, and like it looks like there could not be a whole lot in here, but I'm not going to be even probably hitting pan on this anytime soon. So I don't need a giant pan size, especially because cream products do tend to go off pretty fast. Like you cannot compare cream blush with powder blush because a powder blush can last for years and years and decades, and a cream blush will turn within a very short amount of time. So I love everything about it. Next, I have two blush palettes I want to talk about. They are from Likely Makeup, the Clown Blush and the Fairy Blush palette. So these have been incredibly inspiring to me. I was very kindly gifted these thanks to a subscriber who contacted me because due to a shipping error, she ended up with multiple palettes and she offered to send me some, and I've been so inspired and I've been using these every day. So this is the Clown Blush palette. I am obsessed with this blush. So what I've been using recently has been, even for work, I don't care. I'm using these two blushes, the orange and the yellow, to mix with into my eyeshadow and doing like a minor blush draping when I'm not using the MAC. When I feel a little more dramatic, I'm just using that as an example because I did use that today with some orangey kind of autumnal sort of shadows, but I've been using this a lot in my videos as well. I can't stop. And the Fairy Blush palette is so incredibly unique. As soon as I got this, as soon as the package arrived, I did a fairy kind of inspired look with this, which is beautiful. Like I did like the blush kind of like across here. It's on my Instagram if you haven't seen it, and it's beautiful. Like the whole thing is beautiful, and I find that this is a really good everyday kind of blush color. It's not very intense. It's just a really nice sort of peachy kind of shade, and you can definitely build it up. Like even when I swatch it, like you can see on just like a couple finger swatches, it is pretty sheer, but it does build up really nicely. So I want to continue to play with this more because the formula is really good. See, this is the thing. I haven't encountered a lot of bad products. Like I just feel like everybody's kind of upped their game from what I've tried. So these blushes they're smooth. They apply really well. I don't find it's patchy like sometimes with colorful shadows or some colorful blushes. I have a couple from like years past or things that I've decluttered that weren't so great and maybe being a little powdery, or things that would just, you know, not blend very well in the face. And these ones are just effortless. Like I kind of hate using that term sometimes with makeup, but sometimes it's just the only word you can use. Sometimes it truly is just effortless. And last but not least, for sure, the Lo-Fi Duo Blushers from Kaleidos. I wanted to save the best for last, let's be real. This is what's kind of the glow on my face right now, and I'm obsessed with these. Every time I wear these, I'm always like tilting my head to the side and being like, yes. Oh, what? There it is. And it's gone. And there it is. It's beautiful. Anyway, sorry, I could just do that forever. So I have Lo-Fi Rose and Lo-Fi Peach. I have Rose on my face right now, which is this shade right here. So in this beautiful, I love the packaging. I love everything about this. I have no complaints. This brand is the next big thing in my opinion. Like, they are doing everything right. So there are two shades in here, and one is this beautiful shimmer shade that is just such a unique finish. It's very reflective and it catches the light in such interesting ways, and depending on, like, you know, where your face is and where you place it. And then there's a matte shade, and they work really well together, layered together, different places. Like, sometimes I use the shimmer shades strictly even just as a blush and as a highlight, and sometimes I use them both. Sometimes I layer them. I love them, and I use this one a lot as well. Peach, I use them both. So it's the same deal here with the matte shade and then the shimmery shade, and it is unreal. I can't get enough. I just can't. I can't get enough. So I'm trying to find more space to swatch. So I swatched it on my hand here, and it's kind of a thick swatch. Like, I find like in a thick swatch, like you can see sort of like the duochrome like really intensely, and it doesn't look that intense when it's applied like you would apply a highlighter and or a blush. So I am crazy about this. I would love to see some more unique colors in it, like a purple and some like darker, like a burgundy shade or something like that. I really have a huge hankering for like a ox blood kind of deep blush, and I would love like a duo blusher with like an ox blood kind of thing. Like, I want it. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for listening to me ramble about some of my favorite products right now. I am really feeling really inspired by makeup again these days, and it is wonderful. And I'm you know, overall, I'm feeling pretty good when it comes to makeup and my inspiration and stuff. Anyway, I would love to hear from you. Let me know what some of your favorite products are, and if you've used any of these things, let me know what you think. And if you would like to see anything with any of these products, if you would like to see me use any of these in a video, or if you're just curious, you want to know more, please let me know. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are, and I hope we get a chance to chat soon. Bye for now.